Hi guys, welcome back to Giggle and Grow here with Morgan.
And Courtney, we're so excited. It's a little bit different today, guys. So we hope you enjoy this episode. But Morgan, we're going to talk all things summer and how to take care of yourself when you have all of these extra activities. But kick it off, Morgan.
Yes, guys, so this is something I've been amongst the summer hustle here, and it's been difficult to balance all the fun I want to do, all the activities, work, business, literally all the things. And I think oftentimes I find myself leading to burnout before I even realize that I'm getting there. And although I'm accustomed to all these fun things going on around me, it feels great. But in the long run, my body feels a little drained. And it often tells me that a little bit before I know. That being said, Courtney, have you experienced that?
Yeah, I feel like I definitely have this summer. I feel like, I'm planning a wedding. I'm working a lot, traveling for work. And like, I also had a big 4th of July party and like, you got to come to that, you got to see it, but it's kind of just back to back. Then we went camping. I went to a wedding. There's so much going on in the summer. And so sometimes, I feel like I'm not making enough time for myself. And so, I do have little tips here and there I want to talk about that I think are important, but I definitely feel that way, Morgan. I feel like I'm like not taking enough time for myself and like you think we're having so much fun, we're doing all these great things, it's summer. You think, yeah, you can't be stressed, it's summer, but you can, right? Like you can totally be stressed while you're trying to do all these fun things and make all of these good things happen. And so like I really want us to talk about and focus today on just how to slow down, how to still like achieve those things that you want to achieve, but also be able to understand what's best for you and yourself and your body.
Yes, the importance of me time, right? That is number I think that is something to highlight here because like you said, during a busy season, especially when it all feels really good, it really is hard to take that step back. I think oftentimes, at least for myself, as soon as I get home from a long day, I'm like, all right, where's my PJs? Where's my toothbrush? Where's my pillow? Let's go cozy up in bed and put on a movie, right?
Right.
But I think there's other or better ways to go about how we kind of close out our days or even start our days to offer that little bit of me time amongst that schedule. So,
Yeah.
you were talking about some tips and tricks there, Courtney. Do you have any creative ways on how you carve out your own personal time?
Yeah. So I like drill this in. I say this a lot on our podcast. I say this a lot on our TikTok. I say this a lot in general, but a morning walk is something that I've really started to do. And I really, really believe in it. I think it pushes you as a person. I think it pushes it honestly, like the whole thing about a morning walk is like, one, I don't wear sunglasses while I do my morning walk because having that natural sunlight in your eyes really wakes you up, and it not only wakes you up, but it also helps like with your full day of clarity of starting that day, especially because we are in the summer, and that is something that you can do outside and you can wake up early. And even if it's just 15 minutes, this is something that I've really found, like even on the weekends, or trying to include it in my me time, like my time when I'm having, because like even when I had my party on 4th of July, I still woke up that morning, I still went for a walk, I still did certain things that I think are important to keep continuing in your routine
Yeah.
that will help with your stress. And I think that that is my biggest tip is like find time to go for a walk in the morning or do some sort of exercise. I know we talked about that with David, but that is something like one tip in particular. I actually, and what I started to do is I call them spiritual walks as well, because not only do they help with clarity in the mind, but what I found is like there are days when I'm like maybe really upset or I'm really stressed out with everything, especially planning a wedding. What I'll do is I will go and I will not wear my headphones and I will walk my neighborhood and I will try to smell things, look for certain things, look for birds, see things, and like I will try to like touch certain bushes or trees. So I try to really ground myself before my day starts, and I call it my spiritual walk because it's almost like you're calming your spirit, or you're finding your, you know, your inner spirit in that morning and in that day while you're waking up, and you're really being able to be in touch with your all of your senses. And so that's what I suggest is like, yeah, obviously there are going to be times where you're going to want to wear headphones and you're like, I just don't want to do it today. But like, take your headphones off and do all of that. Like, smell, see, touch, like all of those senses are something that I found that really ground me in the moment. And like listening too, like listening to birds. There are so many things you can do on those walks to really help you feel like you're achieving something at the beginning of your day.
I love that. I heard just something recently about the idea of if you do like 7 different tasks before 11 a.m., it completely changes your whole life because you're
Oh,
not pushing out, you're not waiting till that 11 a.m. to start all your things. It's like, no, I woke up, I achieved A, B, C, and D already. Now I only need to finish F and G in order to complete my day, right? And so it just makes it a lot easier. But to go off that too, I am definitely I'm a huge walker. I am, but I don't go on on my spiritual walks in the morning. Although that's a great idea, but something even a little simpler than that. If you feel like you don't have the time to go for a walk, I love to just wake up and my first thought, I do not go to my phone. I don't look at that one bit, but I go out to my living room. I say hi to my kitties. That's of course a great morning, right? But I make sure I open up my windows right away. I let all that sun come right in. So kind of that sunshine effect that you were talking about. Once I get kind of moving there, I then throw on music that I know is going to put me in a good mood. So it's not like my favorite song, but more so, what are those positive songs that when I'm listening to them unconsciously, they're going to be putting those good vibes or energy into me, right? So and
mm.
so I refrain away from pop or rap or all of that. It's usually just that feel good music. And sometimes it's just a good meditation music too. So
Yeah, it's all about like how can I raise my vibration for the day, and how can I just be positive. And like, obviously you're not going to do this every single day, and there are going to be days where you struggle, but I think that like you can prevent the struggle from continuing to happen by
yeah,
doing things like this. I really, really do.
I totally agree with that. And if you aren't a morning person, I totally understand. I hit that snooze button more times than I'd wish. But also, like we've mentioned on other podcasts, finding that evening ritual as well. Go for it. Find that little piece or moment, whether it's 5, 10 minutes, just take that step back. Notice you need that me time and
Mhm.
just go for it. It's gonna feel uncomfy at first, but once you do it more and more, it feels right. It makes you better.
Those are all good points. And like we
Yeah.
talk about, we talk about a lot of morning routines on this podcast. And that doesn't mean that you can't have something for the afternoon, because everybody's different. And I think really the whole point of us talking about this is what works for you, right? Like, what is going to be a ritual that is creative, that you can have time for yourself. And like, something that I like to do at night too is I have I recently found out I love stories. Like, I absolutely adore them. And so I have my book that I read at night. And like, those are really good ways for me to calm my brain, because there's going to be ways that you want to wake your brain up and also calm your brain. And like, I think a big thing that we like to do is we like to say, well, I don't have time. I can't make
Yep.
time. I can't do it. Da, 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 da. But I think like what you have to realize is that like you have to make the time, or else it's not going to be there. You're not going to, it's not just going to pop out of thin air. And like, these are things that you have to discipline yourself to do,
Yeah.
or else it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And it's those little changes. I love that you brought that to the subject because truly, I mean, it was this little thing that I noticed where I love to read. Like you said, you're getting into love stories. I love stories. I used to read them all the time. And I just recently, I've been making excuses that I don't have time to read. I can't. I got this to do. And what I actually ended up doing, because I was just making those excuses all the time, that I was like, okay, I need to stop my TV time for the hour before I go to bed. Rather than TV time, I pulled out my book and I found that it actually helps me go to bed a lot quicker and easier than throwing on a TV show and just,
Yeah.
lollygagging on my phone, being like, okay, it's 11 o'clock, let's put it down.
TV
Yeah.
is so addictive. Because TV is, I do think like there are ways where like TV is actually quite relaxing,
Yeah.
but I think that like you're going to find that when you step away from screens, or you take time away from screens, like I still feel like there are times when I'm like sitting out having a conversation on my back deck with my fiance and I'm like, oh, like I want to go watch TV. And I'm just like, no, like that's my personality coming in and being like, I want to zone out from this moment. Right. And so I think like reading and setting time up for meditation, or like even if you're just doing a face mask or you're doing little things for yourself, it kind of forces you to be in the moment.
Yeah,
And a lot of us like to escape the moment. And like when you lean into the moment more, you are in the moment more,
yeah.
it's like you become more comfortable with that moment and you can be more present. And that's what I think a lot of our message is about.
Absolutely. And I think a good challenge for the both of us and as well as our listeners here, I
Yeah.
think being able to, when you notice yourself going to your phone, going to that screen that we're talking about right now, I think immediately put that phone down, shut that TV off, and do that little thing for yourself. Because again, like you said, over time, those little things will add up. And those habits that you have now will be completely different habits that actually do feel like you're filling up your own bucket.
Yeah, I agree.
I totally love that. And I think while we're on the topic of summer schedules as well and just that busy, busy life, I think
Mhm.
we also have to realize that there are boundaries that we have to set with our people, with our friends. And if we aren't feeling up for something, if our energy's way down here and we
Mhm.
truly just am not in the right mindset to go, we have to know that it's okay to say no, right? Set those
Yeah,
boundaries. And no is not a bad thing. It means that we're taking care of ourselves and we're actually aware of how we're feeling. And I,
yeah, that's
yeah,
great. And I
yeah,
think I'd rather have a friend who knows her own boundaries than somebody who pushes themselves just to make me happy. And I
yeah,
feel like you're really good at that for me, is like you help me be like, well, Courtney, if we can't do it, it's okay. Like we can take a step back. And like I think it's really important to like not only set those boundaries for yourself, but like call it out when you see a
yeah,
friend maybe pushing their own boundaries and say like, hey, like we don't have this doesn't have to happen. And like true friendship, I think, is all about accepting people for their boundaries and what they need. And like not only accepting it, but like kind of seeing it before
yeah,
sometimes like even they can see it. And I think like obviously we're made to push each other and like be better. But for like real good friendships are the ones who you're like, hey, like I can see that you're stressed. I can see that you need time. Let's take that time to unwind, And I think being consistent with like your routine and things like that, that can happen. But like, I think it's okay to take a step back and say, I'm not going to do this tonight. I need some other type of break. Like, you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. And on the opposite side, I want to throw this out here too. Along with declining invitations, I think it's also okay when we do feel so busy. It's okay to also say yes. We can throw ourselves out there. If you're someone that has a bunch of energy, but you're like, no, I shouldn't. It's a Tuesday night. Have fun. Have fun on a weekday. Go have a drink with your friend. Maybe that's exactly what you need to fill up your bucket. Maybe it's not just exhaustion, but you just need a good friendly smile and someone that is going to put you back in the right place, right? So,
Totally agree, Morgan, because there are different types of self love. Some people's self love is going to look like reading a book. Other
yeah,
people's self love is going to be look like, hey, I need to go have a drink with the girls, or I need to go out and ride my bike with a bunch of people. Like self love doesn't have to look a certain way. It can just be something that makes you feel and look good.
absolutely. Nope, I totally agree with that as well. And guys, along with that too, I mean, if you again are not someone that maybe has this time that we're talking about, we can always find ways to find self-care on the go too. So
Yeah.
those little moments, I know for me, it was just these little apps that just kind of mindful apps that kind of brought me back to place. I'd be sitting in an airport and typically you're scrolling on social media for that hour or two you're waiting. And I actually got in the habit of growing onto not social media, but more of those mindful apps. And it genuinely did change my mindset for the trip. It actually helped me align myself to how I wanted to feel, who I wanted to be before those trips. And I came back. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm exhausted. Not all trips are resting, right? But it does kind of give you that perspective of, where you are, where you want to be when you come back there. So,
Yeah, and it all goes back to like being in the moment.
yeah.
And like summer is all about wanting to soak up all of the fun and all of the sun. But like if you can't be in the moment and you can't enjoy that moment, then it's not fun, right? It's you lose yourself a little bit in the stress and things like that. So that's why we're saying like it's all about being able to find little moments that take you to like that you can kind of recover and rest and come back so you can enjoy those big moments. So you can be there for the big times. So because life is not filled with summers, it really isn't. But the summers that you do have, like you want to be present. In order to be present in those moments, you have to take time for yourself and you have to take little moments and little times out of your day to take breaks and like you want, and the best way to do that really is to work that into your everyday routine. And you're going to see that you're going to get less stressed. Not to say you're never going to get stressed, because Morgan and I both know that like planning anything is stressful,
It's just
even if it's planning a vacation, but like recognize it, acknowledge it, and like be like, here's what I need to do to like release myself from it. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And I'm going to encourage you guys as well while planning out your summers or even fall, winter, holidays, whatever this may be. Plan it out ahead of time. And I think that's going to change everything because when you are planning ahead of time, you can then also plan that self care time around those days, those weeks, months that you're gone, right? So just get out this. I have this like, I mean, 3, 4 planners, but Sam and I, or my husband and I, we got this huge one last year and we just filled in all the dates for each month by month, and it was fun because you got to color code it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna have a self-care day on that Friday, but we're leaving
Yep.
on that Saturday, and it just kind of aligned everything. And like I was saying, it just kind of helped me get into the groove and know what I was gonna come back like. So
Yeah, and even if you're like you're looking at it as like, okay, I know I have, because a big thing that happened to me was I literally just had a party, went camping, and then had a work trip,
yeah,
literally back to back to back. And so like what I had to do was I had to find, okay, I had to clean, like I knew that I needed that, I wanted the house clean before we left. I knew, and so like I was like, hey, I'm gonna be a little hungover, but I'm gonna get up early and I'm gonna clean. And then I make time to pack, I make time to organize, I make time, and I give myself enough time to where it doesn't have to be done in 15
yeah,
minutes. That's another form of self-care, is understanding, hey, I need
yeah.
4 hours to pack because I'm going to also be doing laundry while I'm packing and cleaning a little bit, right? And it's just understanding, what you need as a person to set yourself up for success on these vacations or work trips or whatever you decide to do this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you, Courtney. I love all that we've talked about here today.
I know. I think we covered a lot of what we wanted to say. I know it's a quick little episode for you guys, but we are going through a lot of vacations back to backs, and like we want to be consistent with our podcast. And I think a lot of what this is just like practicing what we preach, right? And like challenging ourselves and our listeners to also like go out there and like make time for yourself and like understand what you need to be successful when you go on these vacations and actually enjoy these moments, because summer is such a great time. But if you're so caught up in making it the perfect moment, or you're so caught up in stress, like then you can't be in the moment. And so take step backs, believe in yourself, take time for yourself and work things into your routine. And you're going to see that your life isn't going to be completely stress free. But I will say that it helps me a lot when I am stressed out.
Right. It helps you to manage everything else around that too. And like you said, have fun when you're supposed to have
Yeah.
fun.
You can live those moments at a very high when you're, because like I even went for a walk today and I'm like, my actual highlight of my day are my walks. I just have so much fun. I get to explore and see so much, and I absolutely love it. And so like find those things you can work into your routine that really lift your energy.
Absolutely. Well, I think we can end it right here, guys. We appreciate you listening on
Yeah.
today's topic about summer and busy lives, and I hope you can take something away from this. But until then, we love y'all, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.